The Dallas Mavericks head into the NBA trade deadline with a 128-108 win over the Minnesota Timberwolves to go 23-19 on the season. This is the Gray Area right here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right there for Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. You can catch me on the weekends on 105.3 The Fan with my partner, the two-time Hall of Famer, Chris Arnold. The Dallas Mavericks moved to 23-19 on the season after 42 basketball games, and with 30 games left in this season, find themselves continuing to build momentum with respect to how they continue to play really good basketball. They are now 8-3 in their last 11 basketball games, are now 7th in the Western Conference, and got a terrific 29.9 rebound performance from Kristaps Porzingis in 28 minutes of play to help this Dallas Mavericks team outscore the Minnesota Timberwolves 32-18 in the third quarter alone. After the Minnesota Timberwolves scored the first 7 points of the third quarter, the Mavericks outscored them 32-11 in that decisive quarter to put themselves over the top to get themselves a win. Kristaps Porzingis, I asked him after the game why this game was a must-win for this team, given the momentum that they've continued to build and what they are trying to build going forward, going into a tough stretch of games this season, playing several games on the road after coming home to take on the Indiana Pacers. Here is what Kristaps Porzingis had to say after the game.
Yeah, I just played my game today, and that's it. A must win because if we want to be the type of team that we think in our minds we can be, then these games are must wins. Obviously you could slip and anything can happen, and the other team can have a great game, but these are the type of games that we cannot let's just slip and not get the W. So we took care of business tonight.
So Kristaps Porzingis saying this is a must-win for a team that cannot slack off in games like this where you play down to your competition and lose games that you cannot afford to, especially given how tight the Western Conference is. It seemed like early on in this game that the Mavericks were playing down to their competition. Anthony Edwards, the rookie from Minnesota, came out hot in that first quarter, but the Mavericks continued to stay the course and stem the tide. Going into the second quarter, Tim Hardaway was able to give them a nice lift in the second quarter to build the momentum to where they were able to have a lead at halftime at 56-55, then overcome that 7-point start by the Minnesota Timberwolves to outscore them 32-11 to get a 32-18 quarter to be able to put themselves in position to ultimately win this game by 20 points. Second chance points were huge in this game. They outscore the Minnesota Timberwolves 22-18 in the second chance area. This was helped a lot by the efforts of Jalen Brunson, who had 7 rebounds in the first half, was perfect from the field in the second half, going 5 of 5 from the field with 11 points in the second half. Dwight Powell also had a terrific game in this game for the Dallas Mavericks with his effort, continuing to play well against the Minnesota Timberwolves. He scored a season-high 16 points on 7 of 10, shooting from the field with 8 rebounds and also 2 assists. The Mavericks improved to 5-1 in their last 6 games against Minnesota, and he's averaging 18.5 points per game and 6 rebounds per game in those games against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Kristaps Porzingis continues to also play well against the Minnesota Timberwolves, now averaging over 31 points per game in his career and over 11 rebounds, nearly 12 rebounds in the last 3 games that he's played against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So it seems like Dwight Powell, Kristaps Porzingis love playing against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they continue to put themselves in that position to be able to move forward. Luka Doncic did not play particularly well in this basketball game, got off to a slow start, did wind up finishing with 15 points in this game, only on 6 of 16 shooting, was able to get it going a little bit at the end of the second quarter where he scored his first bucket with a little less than 2 minutes left in the second quarter, but at the same time, his teammates picked him up a season-high 56 points off the bench for this collective unit, with guys like Tim Hardaway, Jalen Brunson, and Dwight Powell contributing to this basketball team. I asked Luka Doncic after the game if he helped, if there was a little bit of a mishap with a pregame nap, given that there was water in his hotel room. Here is a little bit of a joke with Luka Doncic after the basketball game. Here's what he had to say.
Not really. It was just bad start. That was it.
So Luka Doncic doesn't contribute to the poor start, to the water that was falling into his hotel room that made him miss his pregame nap. But at the same time, his teammates picked him up in this basketball game. Dwight Powell also earned the defensive player of the game in this basketball game. You also got really good contributions from guys like Maxi Kleber. Dorian Finney-Smith had 11 points. Kristaps Porzingis had 29. Josh Richardson, 10. Luka Doncic, 15 points, or Josh Richardson, 15 points. Luka Doncic, 16 points in this basketball game. Jalen Brunson continued to play well also. So you can see how all of the contributing members of this Mavericks basketball team were really able to pitch in, and which was an important statement before the trade deadline, given the fact that we've heard rumors about the idea that the Dallas Mavericks tried to trade for Evan Fournier from the Orlando Magic, tried to trade for John Collins from the Atlanta Hawks, and they are remaining in position to retain him, especially the way that the Hawks have played during the second half of this season so far, and more importantly, how they've played since Nate McMillan has taken over for this basketball team. There still could be an expectation that the Mavericks make a move during the trade deadline, which is at March 25th at 2 p.m. But at the same time, an important statement game with now 30 games left. This team now, first place in the Southwest Division, 7th right now in the Western Conference, still looking to continue to move up in the Western Conference standings, get the chance to come home to take on the Indiana Pacers before they have to go on the road for several basketball games that include games against teams like the New York Knicks, the Boston Celtics, the New Orleans Pelicans, and others. This was an important statement win for a basketball team that did not get a really good performance from Luka Doncic, but its second best player in this game, Kristaps Porzingis, really held things together, did everything that you would want him to do at 7'3" with the block shots, getting a steal out in transition and getting a dunk, hitting the three ball, being able to block shots, alter shots. He did a little bit of everything in this game and was absolutely spectacular, playing an all-around floor game that you expect a guy who's getting paid $158 million to be able to play, but more importantly, the confidence of a Kristaps Porzingis talking about after the game. The idea that this team, when they are sharing the basketball, when the ball is moving, the energy of the team continues to grow, and it's palpable on the bench and for those that are on the floor, that energy translates into really good defensive play. And you saw that in this game. They held the Minnesota Timberwolves to 12 of 38 from the three-point line, and only 32% from the field. Only 44% overall did the Minnesota Timberwolves shoot from the field. So overall, a really good collective win for the Dallas Mavericks with respect to Kristaps Porzingis picking up his teammate in Luka Doncic, but more importantly, the collective team effort from everyone in this basketball game to be able to put themselves in position now with 30 games left to really make a statement going forward against teams that they are going to have a much easier schedule against going into the final 30 games of the season, where they're trying to make that playoff push to try and get out of the play-in tournament that would seed them currently in that particular situation right now. So 29 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists from Kristaps Porzingis. The Mavericks improved to 6-1 this season when he scores 25 points or more, and that was the key in this game. The ability for Kristaps Porzingis to really put the team on his back when his teammate Luka Doncic was struggling from the field after coming off that 37-point performance when he went 8 of 9 from the three-point line. A sluggish start to this basketball game on both ends of the floor. The Dallas Mavericks were able to pick things up and really turn up the pressure, especially in the second half. It got off to a slow start in the third quarter, but was able to turn things around by outscoring them 32-11 and really got terrific contributions from everyone. And that's the statement that needed to be made ahead of a trade deadline, where a lot of Mavericks fans feel like this team needs to improve in terms of their rebounding by maybe trying to go get Andre Drummond, trying to improve from the three-point line, where they've actually been really good from the three-point line since the All-Star break, but at the same time still needing to add some defensive presence on the perimeter and some additional three-point shooting, where you could have gotten a guy potentially in Evan Fournier from the Orlando Magic, who is shooting literally 38% from the three-point line this year. But nonetheless, you've heard from GM Donnie Nelson, who talked about they like this young core. They like what they have right now in terms of their young guys. And what you saw in this game was all of the contributions up and down this entire roster, really pitching in to get a collective team effort to bring intensity on both ends of the floor, especially in the second half, to give their young guys some run, guys like Tyler Bay, Josh Green, and others in the second half, late, obviously, in the fourth quarter after the game was well in hand. So another important win for a Dallas Mavericks basketball team now that finds themselves 23-19 on the season, continuing to build momentum as they go forward in the final 30 games of the season, heading into the March 25th trade deadline with positive momentum as they get ready to come home to take on the Indiana Pacers before going on the road for several basketball games and having an opportunity to continue to make hay in that Western Conference. After the San Antonio Spurs lost to the Clippers, now they find themselves in that position with the coveted number one spot in the Southwest Division. But more importantly, moving up in a tough Western Conference that's extremely jumbled right now, given the amount of transition that you may see in the coming days and weeks, given how the Lakers are dealing without LeBron James and Anthony Davis. You still have the teams at the top with the Utah Jazz and the Los Angeles Clippers and the Phoenix Suns holding steady in those top three spots there, but the Lakers starting to free fall just a bit, given the fact that they are dealing with significant injuries. There's real opportunities here for the Mavs to play consistent basketball going forward, continuing to build the momentum as they are 8-3 in their last 11 basketball games, but more importantly, getting themselves the kind of confidence that even if they are in a play-in situation, they know that they have the team capable of being able to overcome those odds and still be able to make it into the Western Conference playoffs. They would prefer, obviously, to be a top 6 team and not have to worry about being in that play-in situation. Only time will tell if the Dallas Mavericks will decide to make a move at the trade deadline, given what they need to address in the trade deadline, or if they stand pat, continue to move forward, and continue to build, as Donnie Nelson has talked about, the continuity of this basketball team, a team that's overcame COVID and now put themselves in the second half of this NBA season with the opportunity to really make themselves known and make some noise going into the final 30 games of this season. The Dallas Mavericks also out-rebounded the Timberwolves in this game 52-37, bringing the physicality and the disposition that Rick Carlisle continues to look for in this basketball team, which is extremely important going forward as they continue to build this momentum. The Dallas Mavericks get a 128-108 win over the Minnesota Timberwolves, are now 7th in the Western Conference, 1st in the Southwest Division, as they get ready to come home to the American Airlines Center on Friday to take on the Indiana Pacers. We will see if the Dallas Mavericks are able to make a move at the trade deadline or if they stand pat before they come home to take on the Indiana Pacers. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to subscribe to the channel right here at Kevin Gray Sports. And again, this has been the Gray Area. We'll talk to you later. Peace.